Hello and welcome to the Cupcake Comedy Quiz, streaming live. Imagine a pub quiz was relocated to a tea room based on stories that make women go wow. So you know what you're in for. We're doing a quiz tonight of 3 rounds. I'll do a set of questions, you write down your answers, then there'll be a short break during which you can ponder whether or not you are absolutely certain. Then I will give you the actual answers with a generous dollop of topical humour. And then we'll move on to the next round. That's pretty much it. I hope you've gotten the cake and that you have a glass of fizz for the quiz. I do. Let's get started. With round 1, a pretty state of affairs. Question 1, mask ask. Did a survey find that women or men are less likely to wear masks amid the coronavirus pandemic? So let me repeat that question. Question 1. Did a survey find that women or men are less likely to wear masks amid the coronavirus pandemic? We will move on now to question 2. So there is the season and there is the salon, both special to different people, but in Britain, football restarted way before hair salons reopened to the exasperation of many women. But in New Zealand, hair salons seemed much more of a national priority, opening after 51 days of lockdown. But there was something else notable about when New Zealand opened its hair salons. What was that notable thing? So to repeat the question, in New Zealand, hair salons seemed more of a national priority, opening after 51 days of lockdown. But there was something else notable about when New Zealand opened its hair salons. What was that notable thing? And I am going to give you a clue, and that clue is that it was something to do with time. So it was something to do with time. And yes, this is a reinterpretation of the New Zealand flag. Moving on to question 3 of round 1. Have you heard of the beard versus brow row in the United Kingdom? What was it? So that's the question. I'll repeat it for you. Have you heard of the beard versus brow row in the United Kingdom? And what was it? Moving on to question 4, and it's still on hair because it's very important. In which US state were hair salons and barber shops allowed to reopen, but only outdoors? So that's the question for question 4. In which US state were hair salons and barber shops allowed to reopen, but only outdoors? And that, of course, is to reopen after the lockdown. And we will move on now to question 5 in round 1. During lockdown, what did some bosses ask women to do during Zoom meetings? And a clue, it was something to do with their appearance. So to give you that question again, During lockdown, what did some bosses ask women to do during Zoom meetings? I'm going to repeat your clue. It was something to do with their appearance. And another clue, it was shadowy stuff. So there you are, 2 clues. So we are going to give you a summary of all the questions for round 1. I'll go through them. Question 1, are women or men less likely to wear masks? Question 2, what was unusual about when New Zealand reopened its hair salons? Question 3, what was the beard versus brow row? Question 4, which state in the USA opened hair salons outdoors? And question 5, what did some bosses ask women to do during Zoom meetings? I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to be definitely hesitant about your answers, and during the break I'm going to go off and post on Instagram because we're doing a takeover on the account of We Hate Pink, a very cool London-based platform which does events on your screen and also runs a zine. So we'll be back in Welcome back, and now answers. Question 1. I asked, is wearing a mask a bigger ask for women or men? Well, the answer is research found that men are less likely than women to wear masks because they find them embarrassing. The research was by Middlesex University and the Mathematical Science Research Institute at Berkeley. The magazine Scientific American even compared persuading men to slip on a mask to the struggle it was getting them to wear protection against HIV. The magazine called masks the condom of the face, which raises an issue. How about branding masks after popular condoms? Wouldn't someone get it on more often if there were a mega big boy mask? Just like the condom brand. And another quick mask thought for now. As gyms go back, wouldn't it be great if men in the free weights areas of gyms had to mask up? Less to do with COVID spread and more to muffle their grunts. Let's move on to the answer to question 2. I asked about the beautiful game versus the beauty industry, or bouncing balls versus bouncy blow dries. I asked what was unusual about when New Zealand reopened its hair salons after lockdown. Well, the answer is New Zealand reopened hair salons at midnight. The nighttime reopening was very much welcome, as it meant no one could see how bad your roots had become. Another thoughtful touch from the country with a woman as its Prime Minister. Question 3 and the answer to it. I asked about the beard versus brow row. The question, what was it? Beard trims were permitted as lockdown restrictions were eased in the UK, but at that point, getting eyebrows done at the beauty salon remained banned. Accusations the UK government is blokey now extend from foreign policy to facial hair, with actions in key areas decided by committees entirely made up of men. The beard versus brow issue is an example of greater value being placed on what men regard as important, and was highlighted by the chair of the Women and Equalities Committee. Next time it's possible to have a women's rights march, placards will surely reflect the facial hair row. Right, let's move on to the answer to question 4. I asked which state in the USA allowed outdoor hair and beauty. And the answer is California, which on the 3rd week of July allowed establishments that do hair, makeup, nail and skin services to open outside. Astutely, the Beauty Federation predicted many problems, such as trying to maintain modesty during a waxing or a massage in a one-sided tent. Question 5, and its answer now. I asked during lockdown, what did some bosses ask women to do during Zoom meetings? And the clue that I gave you was that it was to do with their appearance. Well, the answer is that they were asked to wear makeup. That's according to a feature on the website Refinery 29. The article quotes women who were downright ordered to wear makeup on video calls. But any smart female knows to focus more on decent audio than decent eyeliner, as it's the only way to get heard in an online meeting. So forget being glam, be the decibel of the ball. So here is your recap of all of the answers in round 1. Question 1, the answer was men are less likely to wear masks than women. Question 2, the answer was New Zealand opened hair salons at midnight. Question 3, the answer was the UK allowed beard trims before eyebrow waxing, and that's what triggered the beard versus brow row. Question 4, it was California that opened hair and beauty salons outdoors. And question 5, some bosses asked women to wear makeup during Zoom meetings. So you can mark your efforts. We will take a 1-minute break here, so see you very shortly. Greetings again, and on we go to round 2, which is called A Little Bit Global. Question 1. Which 3 countries recently sent space missions to the manned planet Mars? So I'll repeat that question. Which 3 countries recently sent space missions to the manned planet of Mars? Question 2. Fitness focused. Which national leader did a press up in public during the pandemic? So that question again. Which national leader did a press up in public during the pandemic? Question 3, and it's about the Queen. The Queen is turning to drink, apparently, to get her through the economic downturn caused by coronavirus. The question is, what drink is she turning to? So that question once again, the Queen is turning to drink to get her through the economic downturn caused by coronavirus. What drink is she turning to? Question 4 in round 2. A survey of people's sex habits during lockdown has been carried out by researchers in the USA. From the results of that survey, is there going to be a baby boom or is there not? So to give you that question again, a survey of people's sex habits during lockdown has been carried out by researchers in the USA. From the results, is there going to be a baby boom or not? And on to question 5, which is about a return to fun. Some countries are reopening their theme parks and fairgrounds, but there are changes to prevent spread of the virus. For example, Japan reopened a roller coaster near Tokyo, but it made a special request of all the people who ride on it. What was that request? So just to repeat that question, Japan reopened a roller coaster near Tokyo, but it made a special request of all the people who ride on it. What is that request? So we'll give you a summary of all the questions in round 2. It's round 2 in a nutshell. And that's Précis is question 1. Which countries are bound for the manned planet of Mars? Question 2. Which national leader did a press-up during the pandemic? Question 3. The Queen is turning to drink. What drink is she turning to? Question 4. Is a baby boom predicted after the pandemic? Yes or no? And question 5. Tokyo roller coaster riders were asked to do what? So we're going to have another break now whilst you passionately squabble with the cat over possible answers, or head to the powder room, or head to the room where the refills are, whatever your choice. See you in 3 minutes. Hello again, and hello to the answers to round 2. Question 1. I asked which 3 countries sent space missions to the manned planet of Mars. And the answer: China, the United Arab Emirates, and the USA will be the visitors from Earth. China's robot should arrive early next year when it will monitor atmospheric conditions. The UAE launched a Mars-bound probe called Hope, and NASA's Off to Mars rover is called Perseverance. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, said a very famous book. Why so many missions to male planet Mars and none to the girl globe, where frankly women would like to conduct their own atmospheric research? Hopefully revealing there is no gravity around the chin and breasts, so that sagging jowls and boobs aren't a worry. That would be my kind of world. Moving on to the answer to question 2. So who did that press up? Well, the answer: Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson did the press up in public, or he tried to. He's not the slimmest of leaders, but he wants to tackle obesity to get Britain fit in case there is a second wave of coronavirus. Perhaps then opening pubs before gyms in the UK was not such a brilliant strategy, resulting in the oddly Orwellian legless good, leg lifts bad. The Prime Minister's press-up was a rare instance of him exercising, though given the number of children he's apparently fathered, he's probably done a few lunges in his time. But not this kind of lunge. And a quick supplementary question. What is the difference between a press-up and a push-up? Just shout out your answers. It's just a little supplementary. So what's the difference between a press-up and a push-up? Well, the answer is that one is British and the other is American. So there you go. Right, we are already at question 3. The question was, the Queen is turning to drink to get through the economic downturn caused by coronavirus, and which drink is she turning to? Well, the answer is she is making her own gin. The gin is an attempt to remedy the Queen's liquidity problem, as 2020 hasn't gone quite as she thought. The Royal Collection Trust, which is the Queen's royal company, was forecast to make £77 million, but so far has only made £13 million. The gin is to be a financial tonic, and it will be made in her very own gin palace. Question 4. I asked, is there going to be a baby boom following lockdown, on the basis that couples turn to sex and more sex to pass the day? Well, the answer is no. No baby boom is likely, according to a survey of 1,000 people conducted by Indiana University. They reported no change in their sex life during lockdown. And now the answer to question 5. So I asked, what is the special request a roller coaster in Japan has made of its riders? Well, the answer is to scream silently. Yes, Japan asked roller coasterers to scream in their heart and not out loud to minimise droplets. Now this raises a question. Are rides and performances being made safe at other theme parks and fairgrounds, like bouncy castles? There's new evidence that coronavirus might be held in airdrops. No one wants a bouncy COVID castle, though that's not the only danger on these things. And stilt walkers, are they high enough? Social distancing applies vertically. So here are all the answers all together in a summary of round 2, and I will read through it. Question 1, the answer was that China, the UAE and the USA are off to Mars. Question 2's answer was UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson did the press up in public. The answer to question 3, Queen Elizabeth II is making gin. 4, no baby boom is predicted after the pandemic. And 5, Tokyo asked roller coaster riders to scream silently. So, did you do well in A Little Bit Global, the name by which round 2 was otherwise known? Check out what you got. We're going to give you 1 minute to go through your answers. See you shortly. Rightio, let's get going with round 3, which is called snacking and swiping. Question 1 in round 3. Women are often judged on their shape, but recently so was chocolate. Which famous brand of chocolate went to court in Germany and won the right to be square? So to repeat that question, women are too often judged on their shape, but recently so was chocolate. Which famous brand of chocolate went to court in Germany and won the right to be square? Question 2. British people in lockdown spent an additional £24 million on tea and coffee in July, according to a report into the UK supermarket industry. But what particular snack has also shown a huge increase in sales? In other words, what have people been eating more of in the lockdown? So to repeat that question, Brits in lockdown spent an additional £24 million on tea and coffee, according to a report into the UK supermarket industry. But what particular snack has also shown a huge increase in sales? From hot drinks to hot dates, as we go on to question 3. 15 years ago, 3% of marriages in the USA came after people met online. What percentage of marriages in America start online today? So that question again. 15 years ago, 3% of marriages in the USA came after people met online? What percentage of marriages in America start online today? Round 3, question 4 coming up. The pandemic has affected retail sales in almost every field, but one thing often bought by men having a midlife crisis has seen its sales plunge. What is it? And I'm going to give you a clue. Think the open road and 2 wheels. Just to repeat that question. The pandemic has affected retail sales in almost every field, but one thing, often bought by men having a midlife crisis, has seen its sales plunge. What is it? And that clue again, think the open road and 2 wheels. And now question 5 of round 3. Which country became the first to honour a female cake entrepreneur when it put her on a banknote earlier this year? That question one more time. Which country became the first to honour a female cake entrepreneur when it put her on a banknote earlier this year? So here is your recap of round 3 questions in a summary slide. Question 1, just to remind you, which chalk can stay square in Germany? Question 2, which snack was much munched in lockdown? Question 3, what percentage of US marriages now start online? Question 4, sales of which male middle-age crisis favourite have dropped sharply? And question 5, which country's banknote now features a female cake entrepreneur? So you can craft your answers to perfection. We're taking another short break, so we will see you in 2 minutes. Welcome back to the end of suspense through answers to round 3. Right, question 1, I asked, which famous brand of chocolate went to court in Germany and won the right to be square? Well, the answer is Rittersport kept the sole right to be square in Germany, defeating a mathematical chocolate challenge from Milka, which dared to go square in 2010, much later than Rittersport, which has been square since 1932, when it was designed to fit in people's pockets without breaking. Germany's legal ruling said that Rittersport had a monopoly on being square. Implications for other four-sided brands may follow, with a leading website maker already considering reshaping the company. The answer to question 2 now. People in lockdown spent an additional £24 million on tea and coffee in July in Britain. But I asked, what particular snack has also shown a big increase in sales? Well, the answer is biscuits. In lockdown, bickies, not quickies, are what people have been turning to, with an additional £19 million spent on cookies in quarantine in Britain in July. Now, National Biscuit Day was on May the 29th this year. Is it time for a feminist biscuit day? Renaming rich tea as equal pay tea? And nice biscuits? Feminists stunk. I don't have to be nice biscuits. Let's move on to the answer to question 3 in round 3. I asked about marriages. 15 years ago, 3% of marriages in the USA came after people met on dating apps. Now, the question was, what percentage of US marriages today start online? Well, the answer is 40%. 40% of marriages in the USA now start online. And who knows what percentage that might rise to, as during the pandemic, dating app usage has surged. The rise in traffic is mainly from young females. Which raises a question: who are all these young women swiping on and chatting to? Surely no one wants to see a spike this winter. Right, we have reached the answer to question 4. I'll remind you of the question. It was about retail sales. What particular favourite of men of a certain age has seen its sales plunge? Well, the answer is sales of Harley-Davidson motorbikes went off a cliff in the latest quarter, falling 27%. Men of the road are more often than not old right-wing white guys, and it seems the world is running out of those. And the news gets better. The US president once said he guarantees everybody who ever bought a Harley-Davidson voted for Trump. Is the collapse in Harley sales a sign that Trump too is about to run out of road? Round 3, question 5, the answer to it. I asked which country became the first to honour a female cake entrepreneur when earlier this year it put her on a banknote. Well, the answer is Scotland. The Royal Bank of Scotland, a note-issuing bank, put Kate Cranston on its new 20. Kate Cranston owns several tea rooms in Glasgow, Scotland, including Miss Cranston's and the Willow Tea Rooms designed by Charles Rennie Mackintosh in 1903. Becoming famous not only as an entrepreneur, but a scontrepreneur. Tea rooms were elegant establishments where ladies could meet for crumpet and conversation, and were one of the earliest places women could go unchaperoned, meaning hot toasted social progress was on the tea room menu. A confirmation, Cupcake Gang, that frosting is feminist. Right, let's go to a roundup of the answers to round 3. Coming up very soon so that you can work out how well you have done. All right, so here is a roundup of those answers. The answer to question 1 was that Ritter Sport won the right to be square. The answer to question 2 was that biscuit sales surged during lockdown. The answer to question 3 was that 40% of American marriages now start online. And the answer to question 4 is that Harley Davidsons have slumped in popularity. And question 5, the one all about the feminist frosting. The answer to that is that Scotland put cake entrepreneur Kate Cranston on a £20 note. So there you are. So how did you all do as we reach the end of the Cupcake Comedy Quiz? This has just been a quiz for feminist fun. There's no prizes for the victoresses except a hike in self-esteem, which is always welcome. If you enjoyed the Cupcake Comedy Quiz, then please subscribe to the YouTube channel that has produced it, News at Size 10, for a taste of the same humour on video and for information about future quizzes. And please also subscribe, or follow rather, at News at Size 10 on Instagram. And that is it. Thank you so much for joining the first ever live stream of the Cupcake Comedy Quiz. And behind the scenes, thanks to Ben for his creative tech skills who have helped produce this live stream. I'm off to have some cake and finish my glass of fizz for the quiz. Have a great rest of Friday, everybody. Bye-bye.